let's go ahead and get started. We are going to have some fun. Starting off today, we're going to take about 10 minutes, play a little game. Joe, if you can get up here. We got Bible Jeopardy. Oh yeah, we got some fun here. We're gonna have some fun. So we got some people in the Bible, places in the Bible, animals in the Bible, and I got some blown up images that the teens. I'll let you guys guess those because maybe some of you guys have seen them, maybe some of you haven't. But they're just super micro blown up images, and you have to guess what the image is. So we'll do this side versus this side, and we'll have some fun here. So who would like to start off over here? Bobby, which would you like?
Let's do people in the Bible for 300.
People in the Bible for 300, and all right, who carried the cross for Jesus on his way to Golgotha? Anybody? Bobby, you can answer that, or yeah. Or if somebody else on your team knows it and can help you out with that. Anybody? All right, I'll let the team. Anybody over here know who it was? Mom. Simon. Was it Simon? Yes, Simon of Cyrene. So this side will get those points. Yep. So we'll say you guys. Yeah, this side would be team 1. You guys would be team 2. All right. So you guys, what would you like? Who wants? Mom, you answer that one, so you get a pick.
Let's go for animals in the Bible.
For what point value?
Let's do 300 for that.
300. Oh, you guys are going easy. The Bible describes me as more subtle than any beast of the field. What am I? Can anybody answer? A serpent? What is a serpent? Nice job. All right. Who wants to go over here? Hunter, what do you want? 400 for guess what? Oh, what is that? Hunter? A ballpoint pen. Lucy, is that what we got? That is what we got. A pen. We can just call it a pen. All right, so you guys got those? Who wants to go over here? Yeah. All right. Who wants to go over here? Once one of the teens go. Casey, what do you want?
Guess what for 800?
Oh, she's going big out there. All right. Casey, what is that? And Casey, if you don't know, somebody else on your team could raise a hand. You can let them answer for it if they think they know what it is.
I remember this one, but I forgot the name of it.
Forgot the name of it?
Oh, I think I know what it is.
What is it, Makia?
A pineapple.
It is not a pineapple. All right. It's a good guess, though. It's a good guess. Anybody over here? Hunter? It's a cork. It is a cork. Yep. Cork for the top of the bottle. All right. Yeah, you guys, Hunter, he saw that at the teen rally, so that's like he wouldn't have known it otherwise. Don't think he's smart. Don't have that misunderstanding. All right. Somebody else over here. Zach, what do you want? People in the Bible for 800. Ooh. Who were the 12 sons of Jacob? Oh, see, Zach was like, oh, didn't realize it was going to be that hard. Oh, can anybody name the 12 sons of Jacob? If not, Seth is going to steal it. All 12 of them. Anybody? Are you guys getting? All right, Seth.
Gad, Asher, Simeon, Reuben, Issachar, Levi, Dan, Naphtali, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. Caleb.
Judah. There you go. All 12 of them. Very good. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. So this game, team 1 got those 800 points. So, Seth, do you want to pick which one?
Places for 700.
Places for 700. What land did Balak reign over whenever he asked Balaam to curse the children of Israel? Does anybody over here know? What land did Balak reign over? It was not Moab. Over here. Is it? I was thinking it was Midian. No, it was Moab. Okay, I had it wrong. I had it wrong in my head, so Seth got it right. All right, very good job. All right, Mr. Berta, what do you want? Places in the Bible for 300. Where did the Israelites live in Egypt? Ooh, can somebody over here? Not you, Benjamin, not yet. In Egypt? Can anybody remember? Where did... Help you guys out. Starts with a G. No. Bobby had it. Goshen. Goshen is where the Israelites lived in Egypt. Very good. All right. Let's see. You guys got that one? So, Amber, what do you want? People in the Bible for 400. I left Paul and traveled to Thessalonica, having loved this present world. All right. Trevor has already said it, but do you want to let Trevor answer it for you? Yes. Trevor, who is it? Demas. Demas hath forsaken me. He was traveled with Paul. All right. Let's see here. What's your name? Jackie. Jackie, nice to have you this morning. Would you like to pick one? You don't have to answer the question, but if you'd like to pick the category for us. People in the Bible for 100. Who were the two sons of Abraham? Abraham. Isaac is one of them. All right. Bobby, you can go ahead and say it.
Jacob. Or Esau.
Think of it. Abraham. I know you know this. Ishmael, there you go. I was like, I'm going to let you get this one, Bobby. Isaac and Ishmael. Yeah, so many names. See, I didn't make this easy for you guys, did I? All right. So, let's see. Gordon, I'll let you grab.
Places in the Bible for 400.
400. Where did Jesus pray, sweating great drops of blood? I'll let you go. You can have somebody else on your team answer if you want. Benjamin. Gethsemane. Gethsemane, Garden of Gethsemane, or the Mount of Olives. Garden of Gethsemane is on the Mount of Olives. All right. Let's see here. Brenda, why don't you go and pick a category for us? People in the Bible for 500. People are staying away from animals for some reason. My ear was cut off by one of the disciples of Jesus. Who was that? Anybody know? Do you know, Miss Judy? Peter's the one who cut off the ear, but he's not the one who had his ear cut off. It was a servant of the high priest. His name was, somebody over here? Come on, Lydia. Malchus. I'm sorry, they have all the cheaters over here. Everybody that knows all the, I should have the back row move over to this side, and then let's see how the same set holds up, holds up after that. But yes, Malchus. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Shelby, you haven't picked one yet. Go ahead. Animals in the Bible for 200. I'm going to let Shelby answer this one. We are told in Scripture that we mount up with wings as what? Eagle. There we go. Good job, Shelby. Nice. That was good. All right. Let's see here. Zach, you already answered one. Hey, did you already guess one? Yeah. Okay, category. Miss Judy, why don't you pick a category for us? Animals for 100. There were 100 of us, and one ran away in the parable that Jesus told. What are we? No clue? Sheep. Is it sheep? It's sheep. Nice job. Very good job. All right, we got a few more minutes that we can do. Have a little bit more fun here. Hopefully, we're getting awake before we get into the deep doldrums of our topic today, where everybody's going to fall asleep on me. All right. Let's see here. Mikia, why don't you pick a category? Guess what for 100? What is that, Mikia? A cactus? Does that look like a cactus to you? Yeah. It does now. All right. Can anybody over here? Yes. It's a dandelion. That is correct. All right, we'll do one more for you. I'll let you guys pick one more over here. Bobby, why don't you pick our last category today?
Let's do, might as well go with animals in the Bible for 800.
Oof.
There you go.
Oof. All right, let's see. See if anybody. In Isaiah 11, what shall lie down with the kid?
Lion.
Nope. In Isaiah 11, it is not a lion. Does anybody else know? A goat, yes. Benjamin, do you want to guess?
Is it a serpent?
It is not a serpent. This is not an easy one. Anybody have an idea? You can just throw out animals. What?
Pit bull.
Who said leopard? Abigail? Yep, Abigail. It was a leopard. A leopard is what shall lie down with the kid. Very good job. Abigail just pulling it out there. All right, let's go ahead and pray before we get into the lesson. Hopefully you guys are awake, had some fun, got the Bible trivia juices going. Let's go and pray. Heavenly Father, do you thank you for this good day that you've given to us? I thank you for the time that we have to look at your word. I just ask you to give me the words to say. In your name I pray. Amen. All right, I am not, obviously, most everybody knows I am not the normal teacher. I teach the teen class, so we are actually in the teen class working through a topic, which is right up here, Principles of a Godly Nation. The last time that we were on our way to the teen rally and started talking, I heard conversations in the back about different political topics, and I was like, I didn't realize that my teens are interested in what's going on outside of their little bubble, outside the class and things like that. So whenever we're talking about our nation, what are some principles of what a godly nation should look like? Especially as we are the citizens of this nation, how should we be, what should be our expectations for our country in the decisions that it's making, in our place in our country, to as voting citizens, how can we make a determination on whether this policy or this bill is whether it is something that would be a good bill to vote on or a bad bill to vote on. I'm getting all tongue-tied up here. But so what should we look at? How should we look at some things? So we looked at some different topics. Joe, go and pull up the last week's topic there at the very beginning. But we talked last week about, you don't have that one up there. Last week we talked about free speech. And what does the Bible say about free speech? So whenever I started this, the first week I asked the question, what are some things that would be good about our nation? Let's make a list of things that are good, that you would say are good about our nation. And let's make a list of things that we'd say are bad about our nation. And let's look at the Bible then. Is this a bad thing or a good thing? And what does the Bible have to say about it? So today, our topic, one of the topics that got brought up is climate change. Climate change is something that is brought up in our nation and is brought up on the mainstream media a lot, especially with the look at drilling for fossil fuels and things like that, and what the idea between using electrical vehicles versus gas-powered vehicles, wind power, solar power. What is as a voting citizen, what should I do, or what should my view be on these topics and the idea of climate change? And so I was like, okay, so what does the Bible have to say about that? Does the Bible show any grounds for what we would say as being climate change, or is this just a farce that is brought up by our media and by our government to put down rules and regulations upon us? What does the Bible have to say? So I think there's some very interesting things to be looking at. So looking at my notes here, and I'm going to have a couple different slides that you'll be able to see that are going to be popping up. But as far as introduction, climate change refers to long-term changes in temperature, weather patterns, ecosystems, often linked to human activities such as burning fossil fuels. The Bible does not explicitly mention climate change, but we can examine biblical principles on environmental stewardship, God's control over nature, and humanity's responsibility towards creation. And so we're going to look at those topics and kind of see, okay, what does the Bible have to say here? So we're going to start off looking at what is the biblical view toward climate change. And you can look there in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, if you want to turn there, we're just going to be there for a few seconds. But our first topic is going to be stewardship and responsibility to care for creation. And we're gonna have a couple different things that we're going to be look at. But stewardship, that is a topic that is brought up a lot in Christian circles as far as things that we are to care for. We are put in responsibility of a few things. And we see in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, let me turn there myself. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, and God said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." So God created man in his image, and the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." So that idea of dominion. What is that idea of dominion? So humans are given dominion, which is sovereignty or supreme authority, the power of governing and controlling over the earth, which implies responsibility to care for the earth, not abuse it. So anything that we are put in responsibility of, we are to care for that, and we are to take care of that. And each one of us, most of us in here would have jobs. We are given a job that we are to take care of some responsibilities that are given to us each and every day. As a UPS driver, I am to go out and take care of the packages that are in my truck, not kick them to the front porch. Not to use them as a soccer ball or anything like that. No, I'm supposed to take care of them and provide them in the best possible conditions to the customers as I am out on route. And that is my responsibility. I'm supposed to keep myself safe, keep everybody around me safe. I'm not supposed to tear stuff up. I have responsibilities as a driver. I am a steward over those packages and over the car and over my time. I'm not supposed to be wasteful. I'm not supposed to be abusive of the things that I am in charge of. And so you see here that we are given dominion over the earth. We're responsible for what takes place here on the earth. Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, you can see God places man then in the Garden of Eden to dress and to keep it. So the idea of just taking care of what is going on there in the Garden of Eden, to tend to the plants and tend to the animals, and to keep it beautiful the way that God had planned to keep it. And so this continues the suggestion of stewardship as part of humanity's role to take care of these things. In Psalm 24, verse 1, it says, "The earth is the Lord's." That is not our possession. Like, we are put in charge of this. You see the story of Joseph. In the story of Joseph, Joseph is put as a steward over the house of Potiphar. Does that mean he was in ownership of everything that was in Potiphar's house? No. He was not in ownership of what was in Potiphar's house, but he was in charge of it. He was responsible for it. And so we are put in charge of what God has, and we are to take care of it to the best of our ability. The earth belongs to God, and humans are entrusted to care for it. So I think it's very clear in Scripture that we are to care for what is given to us. And so we are in charge of the earth. So does that mean that this idea of climate change, this change of what mainstream media would say is changing of the climate because of the burning of fossil fuels, does this even take place? Well, you can see some environmental consequences that are shown in the Bible, and they are a result of sin. And I think that's something that's very important to look at. In Hosea, verse 4, go and turn to Hosea. a passage that, or a book that may not be super familiar. It's in the prophets, after like Daniel, Hosea, Joel. So if you find Joel, you'll soon find Hosea. Hosea chapter 4. We're going to read 1 through 3, just to get some context here, because we're jumping into a book that is not familiar, I would say, to most of us. Then said the Lord unto me, Go ye, love a woman, be beloved of her. Let's see, did I get that right? Yeah. 4 verse 3, not 3 verse 4. 4 verse 1 through 3. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing, committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field and with the fowl of the heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. So what do we see here? As a result of sin. Now, what sin is it talking about? Well, in verse 2, you see, by swearing. Is that something that takes place in the world today? I would say very prevalent that takes place in the world today. Lying. Does that take place in the world today? Absolutely. There's not a question about that. Killing. Does that take place? Yes. Stealing. Committing adultery. Every single one of those sins that was just talked about in Hosea, they take place in the world today. So if God is bringing on environmental judgment, and you see that taking place in verse 3, therefore shall the land mourn. It doesn't say the land shall flourish. The land shall mourn. What does that imply then? Well, it implies there is going to be some environmental changes that are taking place. The land is not going to be flourishing because of our sin. It is going to be there's going to be some adverse effects that are going to be taking place. What are some of those? The land shall mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of the heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. That's one thing that is talked about right now in, if you look on a couple of the different, and I wouldn't advise looking too deeply into this, but if you look into some of the websites that are put up by the EPA and the Environmental Protection, which is the Environmental Protection Agency. If you look and do some research there, they are seeing that some different species of fishes, we don't have those that we had in years past and things like that. And some insects we don't have. I'm not complaining about the missing insects personally, but you know that's one of the things that was brought up. And so there are these same effects that you see in Hosea chapter 4 are the same things that are taking place today. So does climate change and environmental change take place? I would say scripturally, yes. That is a scriptural fact. Now, is it a result of us? Well, yes, it is a result of us. And we're going to look at it a little bit more here in just a few minutes. But in Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 7, I'm going to you don't have to turn to these two verses, but if you want to, you can. But you see, Israel's defilement of the land leads to the land mourning and suffering. And that, again, it's just a kind of a copy-paste between Hosea and Jeremiah there. And then Romans chapter 8, verses 19 through 22, it says, creation itself groans for redemption due to the fall of mankind, suggesting that sin has affected the natural world. This sin is one of the causes of our changes in environment that are taking place in the world today. And we need to recognize that it is a changeable problem. It is something that we need to take ownership of as we are stewards of this land. We need to take ownership of ourselves and say, hey, I need to do some self-examination, and am I committing some of these sins that are causing, in Hosea we see, are causing some of the environmental changes, that God is allowing some of these environmental changes to take place to punish the land and therefore to punish ourselves as a result of it. So the Bible links environmental degradation to sinful actions of humanity. So then, what is there any hope at the end of this tunnel? And I kind of just touched on there for a second, but yes, there is hope. There's restoration and hope for the earth. You can see that in 2 Chronicles 17, verse 14. Go ahead and turn there. 2 Chronicles 17, verse 14. I went to Corinthians. Can you believe that? I'm the one teaching the lesson. 7, verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and will heal their lands. Does that give us a blueprint for what we need to do? If we are seeing some problems with our current environment, and we are seeing, and I could have brought in, this lesson is directed to teens, so I didn't bring in all the proofs of scientific discovery of environmental changes and climate change that are taking place in the world today. They would say that it is a result of us burning fossil fuels and things like that. And do those things take place? Sure. You can do the scientific experiments to see what are some of humanity's actions that will cause climate change. But you'll see if you do some deep research on it, it's only on a very minor scale. It's not on a global scale that that they would like us to think of it as. And if we are really looking at the Bible and we're studying the Bible, I think we can come to the conclusion that God can change those effects. God is the one who created this world. And as human beings, we cannot fully, me personally, I don't have technically Bible to back this statement up, but I don't believe that we can fully destroy God's creation to a point where it cannot be fixed by God. And that for that statement, I do have proof because God is the one who created the earth. We cannot bring the earth to a point where God cannot, revive it. But there is, and you'll actually see that now that I say that, you'll actually see something here in just a second that will be very interesting. But 2 Chronicles 7:14, you see that he can heal the land. And then Revelation 11:18, God will destroy those who destroy the earth. Let's go and turn there. Revelation 11:18, the last book of the Bible. 11 verse 18, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldst destroy them which destroyed the earth. Now, is that talking wholly about physical destruction of the earth? I don't believe it's talking specifically, and I'm stepping away from, I'm interpreting the Bible here, so this is just my opinion on what the Bible has to say here. But I believe that is a spiritual destruction of the earth along with a physical destruction of the earth. And but there's going to be some judgment that is going to be taking place to those who aren't good stewards of what God has given to them. And then Isaiah 65, verse 17 through 25, go and turn there as well. Isaiah chapter 65, 17 through 25. We got a couple verses here. Let's see here, 65, 17 through 25. For behold, I create new heaven and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people, and the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them. Just make sure, 25, yeah. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble. For they are the seed of the blessing of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock. And the dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountains, saith the Lord. So you see, in the new heaven and new earth, God will restore creation to a perfect and flourishing state. Now, where did we see that state in the past? Well, that was in the Garden of Eden. And do we live in the Garden of Eden today? No, we do not. We have a view, we would consider, or I consider, Missouri to be a very beautiful state, especially if you go out to Arizona or Nevada or New Mexico, where it's a very red, bland, in my opinion, state. Sorry for anybody that's watching from Arizona, New Mexico, or Nevada. There are some very beautiful rock formations and things out there, but as far as texture and color and vibrancy, there is it seems to be lacking in some other states, whereas we have a very beautiful state, in my opinion. And but can you imagine what God's idea of perfect is? I mean, that's got to be absolutely gorgeous. And so that would be the biblical argument for climate change, if you're to look into that. Now, the biblical arguments for climate change being unbiblical, and that you would have to look at society's idea of climate change, where it is because we are driving gas-powered vehicles, and because we're cutting down trees, and because they'd say we're polluting waters and all these different things, that is the cause for climate change. Well, let's see what the Bible has to say. In Job, so first off, we see God's sovereignty over nature. God is, as we looked at the first section, God is fully in control. This is his creation. We are just the stewards of. But God's sovereignty over creation. So Job chapter 37, and I'm not going to read this whole passage, but Job 37, 9 through 13, we get the idea that God controls the elements of nature and uses them for correction, mercy, and for his purpose. It's not for our purpose and for our benefit always. Sometimes it's for our correction. And so this suggests that God's will ultimately governs natural phenomenon, including the climate. Everything that takes place, God is in the control of. There's never a time whenever God will not be in control of what is going on in society or in nature. Psalm verses, and I'm just going to run through these last few points just for sake of time. But Psalm 104, you can read in 14 through verse 14 through 30. God's provision for creation through nature is shown that there is an implied trust that God sustains and controls the environment. We need to just trust God, ultimately. Did I misspell something, or what did I misspell? Ultimate. I apologize for that. That is my fault. All right, I own it. Joanna did not make that slide. If you guys know me, it's not a surprise that there's at least one mistake up there, and I can count on Amber to catch it for me. All right. But then in Matthew chapter 6, you see Jesus points out that God cares for creation, and his sovereignty over nature ensures that creation fulfills his will. So what can we see from this? God is in control. We don't need to worry. Now, should we be careful with what we have been entrusted with? Yes, we need to be careful. And we need to be smart with it. And should there be an advancements in society where we see that there is less pollution and less damage that we cause to the world? Should we embrace that? Yes. I've driven a Tesla. I don't have a Tesla, but I've driven one. And that would be right now in mainstream media the most popular electric vehicle out there. I've driven one. I didn't care for it too much personally. It's a unique experience, but there is a long way to go for the electric vehicle to get more advanced, for it to catch up to what we would have as gas-powered vehicles. But once there's some advancements there, am I going to say, no, I'm going to only drive a vehicle that's gas-powered, and now I'm never going to drive an electric vehicle? I don't think that that's a smart decision to make personally, because there are some benefits. Now, you can go into the argument of the construction of solar panels, and that there's actually a lot more environmental waste whenever you build solar panels and destroy solar panels. And the oil that is used for wind power is actually more hurtful to the environment than if you just use gas-powered vehicles or generators. And the lithium batteries that are inside of electric vehicles, to destroy those is actually a lot more environmentally hurtful than to have a gas-powered vehicle. So you can look at all the arguments that the EPA will throw at you and say, okay, let's step back here. Let's look at the research on it and say, okay, is this actually more hurtful right now for the earth that God has given to us, or to drive an electric vehicle, to use solar power, all those different things that that are being pushed right now, or is it more biblical to have a gas-powered vehicle or whatnot? And you can make your own conclusions from that. I specifically wanted to look at the idea, and for us to be conscious of the fact that we are in charge of this earth, and there's a lot of research that has been made, and there's a lot of research that each and every one of us should do as far as making our decisions on how we, as a human being and how society, will affect this earth that God has given to us. And so, as God's sovereignty over nature, we see God controls over this. Warnings against excessive worry or fear. And you can see that in Matthew chapter 6. Jesus advises believers not to worry about daily needs or environmental circumstances, because God will provide. We don't need to worry about those things. God will take care of that. We just need to trust in him. And then Luke chapter 21, while there will be signs in the heavens and on the earth, believers are called to look up and hope, not to be overwhelmed by fear or future disasters. Because ultimately we know that this world will pass away and God will create a new heaven and a new earth. And that's the last point. The end times and the ultimate restoration. You see in Revelation 21, the Bible presents a new heaven and a new earth, implying that God's ultimate plan will bring the earth into its intended state. What is that state? Back to the state of the Garden of Eden, a perfect state that God has created, and one that is not defiled, not by pollution, and not by all these other things, but by sin. And ultimately, that is the worst or the biggest climate change in the earth today, is the change in society towards sin. And we see what is the societal, what's the best way to say it? Society's climate towards sin is the biggest climate change that you have seen over the past 100 years. And that's the climate change that I think as Christians, we need to focus ourselves on the most, is what can we do to affect the change in climate towards sin, while still keeping in mind that we need to be good stewards of what God has given to us. Hopefully, this has been instructive, and hopefully you've learned a little bit from the lesson today, and hopefully you can see that we have some responsibility. We shouldn't just live day to day, but we should keep in mind what our responsibilities are as human beings, as a individual in our nation, and what our view as a nation should be towards climate change. And I think at the end of this, our resolution can be that I would like to see our nation focus more on following the Bible and getting away from and pushing out the sin of this world and not embracing the sin, but condemning that, and look at what we can do to better the earth as a secondary, because I do think that it's important. But ultimately, what the Bible has to say in sin is ultimately the biggest climate change factor in our world today. Let's go and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I do thank you for this good day that you've given to us. I thank you for the time that we have to get in your word today and study out another principle of a godly nation and what the Bible has to say on the idea of climate change. And God, I do thank you for entrusting us with the stewardship of this earth. And I ask that we would not be poor stewards of that, God, but that we would look to you for guidance and that we would study your scriptures daily so that we would know how we might honor and please you with the gift of this earth that you've given to us, God. Please just bless the rest of the day today. Bless the services to follow. In your name I pray. Amen. You are dismissed.